If you look online, you will see little memes floating around about where Easter came from. And they usually have the Easter bunny, along with a bunch of text, or a picture of Ishtar or Inanna. And it talks about how Innana equals this other goddess, and that became the word Easter. And, you know, this goddess has all these different attributes about fertility and bunnies and eggs and everything else, and a whole big list of things. And that's where the festival of Easter came from. And it's all kind of wrapped up in a nice, neat little bow that perfectly explains everything. And it's pretty much all wrong. So, like, if you see that meme, get a good laugh and then just kind of toss it. Because most of what's in there is inaccurate. I think it's supposed to be about an English goddess. That particular goddess, which we don't even really know if she was a goddess, she is mentioned one time. And there was this monk, I can't remember exactly when, but he was writing The Reckoning of Time, and he's trying to pin down a good date for Easter. And he talks about a thing called Ostermoneth, which is supposed to mean like Easter month. And he says, like, as a explanation for this word that he doesn't really know much about, he says it must have been a local pagan goddess, and that's where this comes from. He doesn't really give a source as to where he got this information about this goddess, and we can't find anything else concerning her, so she's really just mentioned this one time. But since then, all these legends have sort of been attached to her, usually by taking things from other goddesses and just tacking them on. And so most of those details that you see come from other goddesses like Innana. And we have no evidence to show that Oster is anything like Innana, or if the goddess Oster ever existed, or if he was just saying, maybe it was a goddess, and that's why they have this name. But there are other things in the region that use a very similar name that seem to have nothing at all to do with a goddess, so it may have just been a common name, and he just didn't know what it was. And thought, okay, well, it's just a pagan goddess or something, because these people have all these pagan gods and goddesses, so that's a good explanation. That's not to say there wasn't a goddess, just that we don't have any good information. And so any details you see attached to it, especially a story involving bunnies and eggs, they did not come from that. It's literally one sentence that says they had a goddess named Oster, and that's what this month is named after. And that's it. That's all the sentence says. It doesn't say anything about the goddess. That could be where we get the name Easter, because this happened in England. And prior to this, every other culture that celebrated Easter in Europe and Asia, they all used a different word for it. The word that they used, Pesach, something like that. I'm not Jewish, I don't know how to pronounce it, but it's their word for the Passover. And every culture, all these different regions that were predominantly Christian, they had their own word for Easter, and they were all based on that same word for the Passover. It was only when Christianity reached England that suddenly it changed and became Easter. So something happened in England, and they got this word, and it didn't happen anywhere else. So
it's almost as if that word went viral.
Yes, yes. And of course, after that, anywhere that English was being spoken by Christians, suddenly it became Easter. The name Easter comes from England, but we don't know exactly how. It was a month called Oster month. And he just said, oh, okay, that's it. And that's how it got attached. We really don't know, because our sources are kind of sketchy. They think it could come from a word called Ostren, which is like a Germanic word that means to shine. And so you have, like, you know, facing east, the rising sun, you know, spring, of course, is like the triumphant return of the sun. And of course you have, you know, the shining sun. So it's complex, and we don't really have a good answer.
Ooh.